Hey, how's it going, players 1 and 2 of every age? Once again, this is Spider Nerd signing in. So, when we last left, we were able to unbox um, Optimus Prime or unlock Optimus Prime. One thing, however, that I completely forgot to show you guys, and it's great, is basically here are your Autobot or Decepticon teams. If you go into team, you can go ahead and move the camera around and get a 360 view of how your entire character looks. You pinch and expand the camera, and you'll be able to get a nice, good look at them. Oh, come on. Yeah, oh, yes, the light axe. And if you tap on them, they transform. Coolest thing in the world. And they're actually, it's an in-depth transformation, too. Like, that is the coolest thing. There's Mirage. Of course, Mirage is a race car. I believe his background is that he was a defective Decepticon. Obviously, if anybody's watching this video and you're a lot more in depth with the Transformers lore, by all means, definitely correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's definitely Mirage. They made him look a little bit more lanky, but that's kind of what his deal is. His special ability is supposed to be invisibility. Uh, he's kind of passive. Like he doesn't really believe in violence, but he's gonna do it anyway because he knows that like he has to in order to defend the people of Earth and to help out his fellow Autobots. He knows he has to fight, even though he doesn't really like it at all. And of course, Ironhide. Growing up, this guy was my go-to. I loved every aspect of Ironhide. Just big, bulky, big Southern accent, almost like basically a cowboy van, pretty much. Speaking of which, they changed him up a lot. Actually, this almost looks like an emergency vehicle. In the 1980 show, he was actually like an Astro wagon or an Astro van. Like every car that you saw in the 1980 show um, was based on an actual car. And they weren't like, oh, well, Chevy, Ford, Chrysler. These are all uh, um, owned, and you have to have a contract. Basically, back in the 80s, and I know it's going to be a shocker, but you didn't have to have too many copyright laws out there. If you wanted to go ahead and make an Astrovan or a Mack truck or a Formula One racer, the studio could totally do that. Jetfire, he's a basically those of you who have played the Transformers War for Cybertron Fall for Cybertron games, you know a little bit of their backstory. Basically, before the Great War, as they call it, between the Autobots and Decepticons, the Autobots were like construction-based, knowledge-based machines, where the Decepticons were more war-based, that etc. That's why the Autobots are more vehicle based, and the Decepticons are more weaponry based, um, like fighter jets, that kind of thing. So basically, there was some sort of, I'm not 100% sure on the lore, so there was some sort of agreement where the Flyers were the science officers, and um, they were pretty much neutral. They didn't feel that the war was necessary. They didn't even believe in the war. So um, Starscream decided to defect first. He was really conniving anyway. Um, but Jetfire and all the other Autobot flyers were like, okay, if a flyer joins the Decepticon side, the Autobots are going to be very, very outnumbered. That's not going to be fair. So Jetfire, Sunstreak, and all the other flyers, at least on the Autobot side, joined pretty much the Autobot side because it was like, listen, we're science officers, we don't really believe in this fight, but these guys, the Decepticons, are bullies. If we don't help you, you're not going to win. And of course, Silverbolt. Not too familiar. I think he's the same thing. He's a little bit more wiry than Jetfire. But with all honesty, I don't know too much of the background on this one. The only version of Silverbolt I'm familiar with is the Beast Wars back in the 90s, made by Mainframe Studios. It was only 3 seasons, but amazing 3 seasons. Just basically, with all honesty, I'll definitely do a lore video later on if you guys like. But the only version of Silverbolt I know is the defective Predacon 2 Maximal Side Silverbolt, which is called a Fusor, a mix between a Hawk and a wolf. And as you can see here, I ended up leveling up pretty much my base there. They're all pretty much leveled up with the exception of, with the exception of the headquarters. So I would need 1,000 or 1,700 Energon and 1,700, excuse me, I'm so sorry, 3,000 Alloy. And of course, when you upgrade, you get to unlock a scanner, which will be new, Energon harvesters, basically new levels, that kind of thing. So looks like we do get a laser turret. Okay, so without further ado, this will be a 5-minute thing. So why don't you go ahead and hop into a battle here?
Autobots, roll out!
Damn right. Alright, so the previous quest I ended up doing was get Optimus. So the next one we're going to hop right into is the Lost Map. An ancient Cybertronian artifact lies hidden somewhere on Earth, but the map leads to a shadow. So the map is shattered and lost. So that's what's going to happen is pretty much, I guarantee you, Sunstreaker decided to try to find this map. That's where we're going to be finding Sunstreaker. But you know what? Instead of speculating, why don't we go ahead and move forward. So the recommended power squad is 220. Excuse me, 250. Inspiring charge. Careful, these mortars look deadly. Don't worry, fellow Autobots, I'll lead the attack. So the armored or leader classes are the frontline fighters. Basically, it's going to be the exact same thing. So we'll have
Optimus Prime.
Then we'll do IRONHIDE.
Jetfire.
Yeah, I got my butt handed to me. Oh well.
Abilities ready.
Yeah, I could have handled this a lot better at this point. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and retreat?
Autobots, retreat!
Yeah, there's nothing I'm missing, with all honesty, Endless. Couple more achievements.
Cyber coins.
Oh man, Grimlock is now available. That's awesome. Alright, so as you can see here, we can get more 2-star heroes there. Obviously, the higher end crystals will be able to get a lot more utilities. Our scanners, let's see here. Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Autobots, roll out!
Alright, so you know what? Our max squad power is a little low. I think the best course of action would be to go ahead and replay this. So, with all honesty, I'll check you guys later.